So I knew I was going to go late rounds, and so I had called up my father that was in Oklahoma. I was like, "Hey, Dad, is there anything around here? Is there in Louisville and Tennessee, whatever, where I could get in a ring?" I said, "I've graduated, and I just kind of want to see what it's like to get in the ring, man." He was like, "Well, a very good friend of mine, one of the masked assassins, Jody Hamilton, has a school south of Atlanta in Jonesboro. Now, people call the power plant. We're talking before the power plant. All right. If the power plant is a penthouse, I don't know if you guys over there across the pond have trailer parks,
Not
like
really, but
for homes.
I imagine it's like the outhouse kind of thing, the penthouse and the outhouse.
Okay. Yeah, okay, there you go. Very good. This was the outhouse. So I said, cool. So I got in my car. I had some days off before my school and about a month off. And I drove down there and Jody and a guy named Sarge. Sarge is legendary with WCW, is one of the toughest, brutal trainers. I just talked to Sarge just the other day. And sent me down there. And the only insight he gave me is like he was like, let me give you a heads up. These guys are used to taking guys. Everyone wants to be a wrestler, and they beat the piss out of them. He said, so make sure you can do like 6,000 squats. Make sure you can do 1,000 or 2 push-ups, 1,002 sit-ups, because they're going to sit there and put you through the regimen. And then what they like to do is then put you in the ring and abuse the shit out of you. And he goes, because we got all these bodybuilders and these pro football players and people in Atlanta that are coming to try out, and we want them to leave beat up so they go tell other people that this is not to mess with. Well, I was a big time amateur wrestler anyway, my whole life. So I'm like, okay, so I was in good shape anyway. So I do the Hindu squats and all the stuff that I would normally do, but I added to them. And so I went down there and I started working those guys. Like, oh my God, I'm cramping. And they got me in the ring and they were going to make me look bad. And I beat the living shit, choked them out. So I get in there and then Jody loved me. And back then, man, there was probably only 6, 7 people. El Gante or whatever. They had this guy. I think he was Hispanic or something, like 7'2". They were going to make one of the new giants. They had these guys named the Cole twins.
Yeah.
They were really good looking guys. I love those guys. They were working out there. But realistically, no real big names were down there. And so I went there and I worked out, and bro, I would meet them at 8 a.m. and we would leave that place at like 6 p.m. Literally, I would be bleeding. Those ropes cut me open every day. I mean, the worst part of wrestling when you work with WCW is the ropes are completely different. Like at WWE, the ropes are rope. At WCW, they're like phone lines that are taped, so they have a piece of steel through them.
Is it like
And so,
rubber? Is it like a rubber casing round the steel
well,
cable?
it's rubber or tape. A lot of times they would just tape, but sometimes they would put a hard plastic around it, and then sometimes they tape it. But literally, so if you think about this, in order to make those stretch just a little bit, you've got to hit them full speed, because if you don't, they won't move. They literally won't move. And that's why if people go back and watch WCW and see these guys popping off the ropes, just that is torture. It's just torture. So even to this day, I've got like a scaly side of my body because you hit it with your right side. Bro, the first probably 2 weeks, blood all down my socks, all just I was just profusely bleeding the whole time. So if you can imagine, so now I'm wrestling there. So now I got to go back to college, right? Because I need to finish up a few things. And so here I am, and I go, and Dusty Rhodes says, "Hey, bro," he goes, "How would you like to get in front of an audience one time?" I said, "Baby, I I want to do that so bad." I said, "Sir," I said, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go finish up school." And I said, "I'm gonna come back. I'd like to take a shot at maybe pro wrestling." He goes, "Why don't you do this? You're going back to Louisville from Atlanta. We got a show in Cleveland, Tennessee." And he goes, "And what we'll do is we'll just give you a match with Sarge." Well, now think about this. At first, it sounds okay, but I've only been in the ring 21 days. Bro, I don't know how to throw a punch. I mean, because I was an amateur wrestler and because I watched wrestling my whole life, we knew some stuff, and Sarge would call the stuff, and I knew Carney by then. I could speak Carney and all these other things. But there was a lot I could not do. And so I said, sure. And so I went and did that. So afterwards, Grizzly Smith said, hey, Dusty wants to talk to you. Called Dusty. I was like, hey, I heard you did pretty good. I said, sorry, I don't even remember the match. Like it was such a blur. You know, it was such a blur. And so, which is kind of funny because when I got there, I went into the good guys' locker room, and there's Rick Steiner, which has known me since I've been 14 years old. He goes, what the F are you doing? I said, well, I'm having a match. He goes, they're going to let you have a match? I go, yeah. He goes, there goes the business. He goes, where did you even train? I go, I trained for 21 days. He goes, oh, 21 days. I go, well, sir. He goes, get out of here. I had to dress in the concession stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Old ladies are doing popcorn. I've got a towel over my wanker. I'm putting on my pads and stuff. People are going, hey, I'd like a popcorn. I'm sitting there getting dressed, bro. and so I left and came in. And then when I left, I came back to the concession stand. It was ridiculous. But anyway, so after that, he goes, hey, Erik, we're wrestling in Knoxville tomorrow. You want to run that match back? And I said, no. I said, yeah, I would love to run it back. I said, I might actually remember it. So we went and I wrestled then. And then I think the third night, it was in Nashville or something. And Dusty again said, hey, you want to? I said, sure. Yeah, I'd love it. I remember I had a blast, blah, blah, blah. So after that night, I was leaving to go. Now I'm done, right? I do the 3 little stits. I know everyone's going back because they have Saturday Night Live in Atlanta, you know, so I know they're doing their TV. So I was asked to call Dream, and Dusty goes, how was it? I go, dude, there's nothing like it. I said, at that point, man, I have played and sold out. My first game to start was Ohio State. I think there was like 108,000 fans at their stadium on ESPN. Was my first college football start. I had at that point played football in Tokyo, Japan at the Coca-Cola Classic, Louisville versus Syracuse. I had been on some pretty big platforms in my life. And I said, there's nothing like it. I said, I cannot tell you what the adrenaline, and he goes, his exact words, he goes, I knew it, you're fucked. I go, sir? He goes, once you feel it, son, he goes, once you feel it, there's no high, no drug, no sex, there's no high that you'll ever be able to get to emulate the feeling of being in there and thrilling the fans. And I said, you're right. I said, let me finish my master's. I got 3 classes. I'll be back in 3 months to train and I hope we can try out. He goes, you're never going to go back to school. I said, sir? I said, my fiance's back there. She's finishing up her college too. I said, I got to go back. I said, you know, I've already done interviews with Georgia Pacific downtown Atlanta so I could get a job and I can work out after the job. He goes, no. Your 4th match is on Saturday Night Live, WCW, and we've got a contract. So I then go, oh shit, like what? This is getting real. So I call my wife or my fiance at the time immediately. She drives down to meet me in Atlanta to go to the show. And bro, we're sitting in a hotel and I don't even know what I'm going to wear. So I told her, I said, bring some of my football pants. So I cut off my football pants. I wore my leather jacket because the Steiners used to wear their leather jacket. You cannot imagine how weird this was. She's like, well, I've been watching wrestling. The guys don't have hair. I go, what? They're like, yeah. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, you're going to have to shave. I go, shave what? And she was like, your body. I go, dude. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just do the bottom part. So I do it. I'm like, oh, that looks horrible, you know? So now we're doing this. Then she's like, you got to do. The night before, we're sitting there shaving me, and I'm freaking out like I'm some chick going to the prom. Like, oh, no, you know, like I'm not going to shave my forearms, you know, and then you look at yourself. And so we're doing that stuff. We're trying to figure out what I'm going to wear on TV. It was horrible. So then the next thing you know, the first year is over, I wrestled over 305 matches. I was voted by the public 1992 Pro Wrestling Illustrated Rookie of the Year with only having 3 months or 4 months of that year that I wrestled. I didn't wrestle the whole year. It was a blur. So there was no, hey, Erik, we got this idea for you. Hey, Erik. The only idea they said is, what we're going to do is we're going to have you follow Dustin and Barry Windham around, and kind of like a second generation gimmick, for a while. But bro, nothing was talked about. I didn't even know where I was going to buy a house or get an apartment. I called Sting up and I said, Sting, because Sting had known me since I was 14. I said, bro, until I find out where I want to buy a house, where should I live? He goes, I got 2 gyms. Me and Lex have 2 gyms. There's one on Windy Hill Road. He goes, the beautiful thing about Windy Hill Road, you never have to get on to 75. You can go the outer loop to the airport, and you can be back, and you can walk from this really nice gated place. We made a special exit because only chiropractors, Atlanta Braves, successful doctors, and strippers live there. I go, okay, but I want that. Let me tell you what.
You sold me at the chiropractors.
Yeah. It didn't matter what day of the week you went to the pool. You did not want to leave the pool. Let's just say it. So, dude, I did exactly what Steve said, and he said, hey, you can have a free membership. You and your wife. I've known you forever. Blah blah. And here I am talking to you. That's what happened in my wrestling life. That's what happened in my wrestling life. And all of a sudden, I'm talking to you.